The Ohio River is not only important commercially to the city of Louisville, but it's a big reason why the city actually exists. There's also recreational opportunities, and of course, yes, it enhances lifestyle right here in Louisville. Welcome to Louisville Focus. It is a drop-dead gorgeous day to be on the water, and I'm lucky enough to be with Susan Griffin Ward, who is with the Kentucky Waterways Alliance. She's all about community engagement, so she's the right person to talk to. Susan, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, a perfect day. And you know, when we talk about the Ohio River and Kentucky Waterways, a lot of times it's transportation or recreation, but you're more about a relationship with the water. Talk about that a little bit.
Right. So at Kentucky Waterways Alliance, our mission is to protect, restore, and celebrate our 90,000 miles of waterways. One of the great facts we like to share with people is that Kentucky has 90,000 miles of waterways, more than any state except Alaska. And we firmly believe that if people develop a relationship with the water, if they have a chance to get out on it or next to it, have access to it, that they will fall in love with it. And people want to protect what they love. And so we feel it's important to get people out on the water and near the water, and then they'll want to do the right thing by the waterways. So 97% of Kentucky's waterways drain to the Ohio River. So we're not talking about just this beautiful stretch of river we have behind us, but we're talking about protecting and restoring and celebrating all of the waterways across Kentucky, all the rivers and streams that drain into the Ohio River. Because if those are healthy, then the river will be healthy.
You know, I love what you're saying about a relationship, because to me that is what it's about. You're exactly right. If you care about something, then it's got to be a two-way street. Yes, we get enjoyment. We get to look at the beauty. We get to enjoy it, whether we're getting out on a boat or whether it be the Belle of Louisville or going out with friends fishing, whatever it happens to be. With that being said, put some skin in the game and help out our waterways. So what kind of things are we talking about for folks who are watching? How do you engage people in your position?
Well, we engage in all kinds of ways. We do it through photography, we do it through art, we do it through cleanups on the waterway. A lot of times, being on a river or creek or stream, the first time people have the chance to do that is during a community cleanup. And they think, oh my gosh, this is such a beautiful place, but why is there this trash here? And what can I do to change that? And so those are some of the ways that we engage with folks. We also have a watershed network program that works with organizations, both volunteer and professional organizations across the state, to help implement watershed plans. And so we help give people the resources to work in their own communities and do what needs to be done for their particular river, stream, lake, and then that literally helps everybody downstream.
So I would think, Susan, that a lot of companies who it's very advantageous for them to have access to, whether it be a lake or a river for whatever reasons. In this case, maybe it's transportation in the Ohio River. With that being said, do you approach these companies? Do you ensure that, hey, they're also doing the right thing ecologically? Is that important to you as well?
It is. We encourage all users of the Ohio River to think about how they're treating the Ohio River. The Ohio River is incredibly beautiful, and it is much cleaner than it used to be. I've been out on the river for 25 years, and I can see the difference. However, it still is an endangered river. In 2023, it was listed as the second most endangered river in the country. And so we are very active in encouraging all businesses, all manufacturers, all users of the river, all communities along the river to to support an Ohio River restoration plan. We are actively seeking federal funding to provide support to the Ohio River Basin. So the Ohio River Basin is a huge area. Most people don't realize 14 states have watersheds that drain to the Ohio River. The Ohio River itself is 981 miles long. It's truly one of the great rivers of the world. And we should treat it as such. So we are actively working towards an Ohio River restoration plan. The Ohio River is the only major river basin in the country, or watershed basin in the country, that has not received federal funding. So if you think about places like Chesapeake Bay and the Everglades and Lake Tahoe, the Great Lakes region, all of those watershed basins have been receiving millions of dollars to protect and restore them. And so we're advocating for that for the Ohio River.
You know what that says to me, though, Susan? The fact that you do not receive federal funding at this point. Hopefully we get there.
Right.
But at this point, there's even more emphasis on individuals and companies and communities to get together and help out the health of this river, for lack of a better term, ecological health of this river. So with that being said, what can individuals do? You touched upon companies and you reaching out to them. But for folks who are watching who love to get out on the water, what can they do, whether it be Lake Barkley, Kentucky Lake, or the Ohio River? What can they do?
Well, they can take their trash with them after they spend a day on the water. They can stop using single-use plastic, so bring a water bottle instead of a plastic bottle. They can think about what they put on their yards and what they pour into streams or in storm drains, because all of that flows down to their particular waterway. They can use rain barrels to help reduce stormwater runoff. So there's a variety of things that folks can do.
So for folks who want more information, Kentucky Waterways Alliance, where do they go?
If you're interested in Kentucky Waterways Alliance, you can go to kwalliance.org. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And we are a membership organization, so we encourage folks to join us in our work. If folks are interested in the right to clean water, which we believe every person has the right to clean water in our state, join us and support our work.
All right, so I'm just curious. You're obviously pretty seaworthy for. What do you enjoy most about the river? What do you, whatever the case may be. What do you enjoy, Susan?
Oh my gosh, I've spent 25 years on the Ohio River. We started coming out on the river with our boys when they were in middle school because we thought it'd be a great way to keep them so that they would want to spend weekends with us.
There we go.
Through middle school and high school. And honestly, I just enjoy the beauty of the river. I am a photographer as a hobby, and the river is one of the most spectacularly beautiful places I've ever been. There are so many stretches that are just incredible. And so I just really appreciate the peace and the beauty that the river offers.
So if you would like to join Susan and myself and build a relationship with the Waterways of Kentucky, the website is on your screen. Looking forward to this interview because we're going to talk about recreation and exploration. Sounds interesting? Well, it will be, because with me now is Kenton Wooden. And Kenton, you're with the Falls of the Ohio Foundation, is that right?
That's right, yes. Okay. The Falls of the Ohio Foundation.
Thank you.
Yep. And we're a nonprofit organization. We want to be a collaborative entity that works with the community and other organizations to help preserve and recreate the resource of the Ohio River. So our mission is to preserve and explore the Ohio River. We do that through education, recreational opportunities, and just inviting the public to participate and engage with the river in new ways and to help take care of it, to steward it for future generations.
So I'm going to apologize for asking such an elementary question, but when people say the Falls of the Ohio, what exactly do they mean when they say that?
That's a great question. The Falls of the Ohio is actually this section of the river that we call home. It is the part of the river that's between Louisville and southern Indiana. So Louisville, New Albany, Clarksville, Jeffersonville. It's the origin story of all of our communities. And here at the Ohio, the Ohio is 980 miles long, and the Falls of the Ohio is the only natural barrier along that entire span. And over 2.5 miles, the river drops 26 feet. And because of that, we've got these amazing stories here. We've got this amazing landscape where we've got 390 million year old fossil beds. But we also have the origin story of all of our community. We've got 10,000 years of people living here. We've got mammoth and bison that used to use the falls in their migrations. And today, we know it as a beautiful place to come and enjoy the outdoors. There's not very many places you can enjoy a state park with the view of a city skyline in your backyard. So we like to get out and appreciate the river and what it brings us as a community, as a way to connect and re-engage with the river landscape that has been here for a very long time.
So when you say the Ohio River and the connectivity between New Albany, Jeffersonville, Louisville, and all that, I would think about all of the commerce and transportation and barges, etc. You mentioned the fossil beds, okay, but recreationally, so there's a lot of recreation that happens in this, in really kind of the heart of all those cities, right?
There is, yeah, and too often our river is thought of as a barrier, and we like to think of it more as of a connector. And how can we bring the community together to engage with it, whether that's fishing or paddling or just enjoying the view, maybe it's birding. The river offers all kinds of opportunities for recreation in our community. We just have to, remember why it's here, remember what it can offer us as a way to sort of break from your everyday routine and re-engage with the natural landscape. It's why we love to partner with organizations like the Ohio Riverway, who are opening up opportunities to recreate, use the river in ways that reconnect people with this landscape.
So when you talk to the folks with, and I'm assuming you may be on that board as well, right, with the Ohio Riverway?
Yes, sir, I am, yeah.
So with your foundation, how do the two connect? It sounds like a lot of it is recreation and that's what it's about, correct?
Yeah, recreation, but it could also be, it could be events, or it could be a paddling event, or it could be a concert on the water, or it could be a hike, bike, and paddle. There's all kinds of opportunities that we as a community, if we start to think about the river as a place to use and enjoy, that we can reconnect with it. And we can come down and we can spend a Saturday afternoon fishing or paddling up and down the very calm waters that we can see behind us here.
So you mentioned the fossil beds and you just mentioned fishing and paddle boating and whatever the case may be. I would also think that safety is a big part of what you do too, correct?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Safety programs, knowing how to work with the river, knowing what your unique skill level may be, right? I'm a calm water paddler, so this is great for me, but we've got people who are expert paddlers and they really enjoy white water, and so they may use the falls at times when the water's high to practice their white water. They're much more skilled than I am. They've got a different boat than I am, and than I do, and I'm aware of that, and I let them do their thing, but you won't catch me out there doing that. But I will absolutely, on a day like today, love to be out here.
So you love paddle boarding. For those who maybe want to explore a little bit and try something recreationally, maybe something a little bit outside the box, give us some recommendations if you would.
Well, goodness, I tell you what, probably the best person to ask would be our Ohio Riverway folks, but I would invite anybody to come down and use this community boat ramp and drop your kayak in the water. Drop a stand-up paddleboard in on a day like today. Perhaps even just drop a fishing line in and bring the kids down and drop a bobber in the water and see what you pull out of here. You just never know. And this river offers so many opportunities. As I'm talking to you, I see turtles resting on a log in the background, and we've got the city of Louisville right over our shoulder. There's just not many places to engage in the natural environment in such an urban setting that we've got along the Ohio and here at the Falls of the Ohio.
Kenton, I've enjoyed the brief conversation. Hopefully you have as well. With that being said, for those who want more information on the Falls of the Ohio Foundation, maybe they'd like to help, we encourage that. What can they do?
Yeah, we are a nonprofit organization. We are 100% donor supported. We would invite anybody to visit fallsoftheohio.org and learn more about our organization and what we're doing to steward the river.
All right, so are you going to show me how to paddleboard like an expert?
Well, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll keep you dry.
Stick to your skill set, John.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Kenton Wooden, once again, Falls of the Ohio Foundation. Here in Louisville, we know we are part of the Ohio River Valley. We also love the scenic Ohio River, but what is the Ohio Riverway? Well, let's find out. With me now is the interim director. He is Forrest Clevenger. Forrest, first of all, thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Okay, so the mission, give me a little overview on Ohio Riverway.
The Ohio Riverway is a coalition of communities and organizations along the river that is here to help people find adventure and inspire care for the land and water. Our flagship endeavor is turning the Ohio River into a national water trail. Currently, that application stretches 308 miles from Ashland, Kentucky to West Point, Kentucky, and that will help get national attention to bring outdoor enthusiasts to our region to appreciate the beauty we have here.
So to achieve that mission, and believe me, that sounds a little grand to me, but I love it, but to achieve that, to get to the point where you want to be, it requires, we're talking restoration here, aren't we?
Well, not for that. The majesty of the Ohio River is already here, and the river is safe for recreation. I mean, there are inherent risks with all sorts of recreation, but it is safe to go out and paddle. So what we need for that is signage along the way. We're putting in 152 signs, mapping and marking the access points, as well as paddling guides, which we are publishing this fall in addition to our existing safety materials. So if you're a paddler, you can already find resources on our website. There are more coming in the coming months, but really, that's what's necessary to become a trail.
Okay, well, thanks for clarifying for me. I appreciate that. So from what I understand, there's some type of a mission or a summit, or what's the summit about?
Yes.
Help me out here.
So this week, our team is holding a summit in Maysville, Kentucky. It is the annual Ohio Riverway Summit that pulls together leaders from all sorts of nonprofits and communities throughout Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio that are focused on the Ohio River. It's all about improving the quality of life in our local communities by investing in them, in these outdoor recreation economies.
Okay, as the director of Ohio Riverway, where is your main focus right now? What is I know you've kind of touched upon it there, but your main focus right now, if you said, okay, here's where we are with the river and with achieving some of these goals that you have set, what are you doing?
Well, my main focus right now is getting through the summit. The next 3 days are going to be busy. And after that, it's going to be making sure that we have the capacity to do big things. We currently have a coalition of 120 dues-paying members and cities, so we have the network there to go after huge projects. And we've already seen some projects come to fruition. In Ohio, the governor there has invested $152 million into redeveloping 17 waterfronts along their southern coast. In Kentucky, this spring, the General Assembly, at our urging, created the Kentucky-Ohio River Regional Recreation Authority, a new authority devoted to helping enhance and build out trails on and along the river. So we can do these big things, and we are punching even higher, trying to get a federal restoration initiative devoted to the entire 14-state Ohio River basin. So there are a lot of priorities as the new executive director here, but we can make them happen together.
It sounds to me like what you are doing requires a lot of partnerships. You talk about different states here. You're talking about government involvement. Talk a little bit about the value of partnerships for the Ohio River.
Well, in a way, we are a convening entity. In so many ways, the river divides us, but at the same time, it can bring us together if we take the time to create those networks and collaborate along the way. So we're here to fill that gap, to make sure that we can go after big regional endeavors together.
Forrest, I like your energy, okay? So are you optimistic moving forward? To me, it seems to me that the river is becoming cleaner. Mm-hmm. It's being used more often, a lot more recreationally. Yes. So are you optimistic moving forward?
I'm incredibly optimistic. I mean, the Ohio River was the lifeblood of so many of our communities as our country industrialized. And now that our economy is more service-oriented and less industry-oriented, we're having to come back in and fill the gap in a lot of these small communities. And there's nothing healthier for them than recreation-based economies. So I'm really hopeful there. We see a lot of energy coalescing around that. At the same time, I'm hopeful around the restoration efforts. The Ohio River is cleaner than it's been in a very long time, and it is safe for recreation, but at the same time, it could be cleaner. As Steve Irwin always used to say, it'd be great if you could go to our waterways and drink straight from them. So here in Louisville, we are a leader for that through Congressman Morgan McGarvey, who is co-chair of the Ohio River Congressional Caucus, and Representative Aaron Houchin just across the river in Indiana, who is also co-chair of that caucus. So there are tons of partners coming together around that. We are only one stakeholder in these efforts, but it has the potential to be transformative for our region in the same way the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative was transformative there. We're talking on the scale of huge amounts of federal money devoted year after year after year.
Well, we certainly get a lot of enjoyment, not just looking at the Ohio River, but as you said, recreationally, and it is a point of pride. So for folks who want to help out Ohio River Way, what do you recommend they do? How can they help you?
Well, we are always glad to have donors. You can go to ohioriverway.org and contribute there. If you're an organization or a community, you're also welcome to contribute as a dues-paying member or just engage with us on different sorts of projects. To the general public, what I always say is the best way you can support our efforts is to go out and enjoy the river. Go for a paddle. go check out your local paddling companies here in Louisville. I know we have Endless Summer Paddling just down the way in Waterfront Park. If you want to do stand-up paddleboard yoga on the river, you can. If you want to come to the boathouse right here and place your canoe or kayak here, you're welcome to do so and come enjoy the water.
Yes.
Or just take a hike,
There
walk
you
the
go.
Big Four.
So get out of the box and enjoy the fact that we have the advantage of having the Ohio River right here.
Yes, and you can enjoy it in so many different ways, whether that's in Shawnee Park or at the Falls of the Ohio or just walking the Big Four.
Forrest Clevenger, I enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you.
Once again, check them out. It is the Ohio Riverway, and by the way, it is a 501c3. We've all heard the expression, this is where the magic happens. Well, this is where the fun happens because we are in the community boathouse and we're going to talk about River City paddle sports. With me now is David Wicks, and he's the man who runs the place. He is an interesting cat. David, when I say you're an interesting guy, you're a historian, you're a teacher, you're a lecturer, and you like fun on the water, right?
You're 100% right. It's called, I like the confluence of art, culture, and the environment. And so it really is a way of exploring our community with a focus on the river. And so since I retired maybe 11 years ago, that's all I've done. Even though when I worked for the Jefferson County Public Schools for 30 years, that was my job as well, engaging our 185 schools in the Ohio River and our local tributaries. So my wife says now I continue my same job, but I don't get paid for it. I'm a volunteer with River City Paddle Sports it's a 501c3 organization, and we're just committed to the river and the environmental quality of our river.
And fun. River City Paddle Sports, this I assume is all, these are instruments of fun on the river. So tell me, what are we looking at here as I survey this place?
Well, this is the community boathouse, and it used to be a maintenance facility for barges. Right out over here in the parking lot, there were 7 55-foot high petroleum tanks. And so this is where Louisville stored its gasoline, petroleum products, asphalt. And this was the first facility that was purchased by the city for Waterfront Park to really clean up. So they took care of all the brownfield over there with the big petroleum tanks. And this building turned into the University of Louisville Rowing Club, and the other side turned into the Rowing Club community-based program. Then the Brown Foundation provided funds to build U of L a large new boathouse. This side became available, and Mayor Fisher, so 12 years ago, 13 years ago, turned this into paddle sports. So the community boathouse really has 4 different organizations. We're paddle sport driven. Adjacent to us is the Adaptive Rowing Club, and they are there with kids with a variety of disabilities, visual impairments, physical problems, and they go rowing on the river. Very, very highly qualified people. They ended up going to the Paralympics, and so very incredible competition. Then we also have 2 dragon boat teams here. One boat called the Derby City Dragons is a breast cancer survivor group, and they're also very competitive. They went internationally. They went to Italy. They went to Australia or New Zealand for their competitions. Just this past weekend, they took 3rd in the state, competing against other breast cancer survivor teams.
So there's a lot of good being done in this building.
Yeah, and then on the far side is the rowing club and the juniors. So there's a whole high school rowing team over there that had a big demonstration of a rowing race with the Mayor's Hike, Bike, and Paddle. So you're 100% right. It is a river-related organization here.
You know, I think it's interesting that you talked about helping out, you know, and contributing, winning at the Paralympics. You talked about breast cancer awareness, but there's something here for every level. Regardless of who you are, something that you can do on the river, and it becomes a little bit more, I would think, more spiritual, not just physical. Am I correct?
Well, it is a relationship with the world around you. I like to say the quality of water that flows through our environment is equal to the quality of life. And so when you really think about it, being physically active is not only good for your mental health, but your physical health. You know, it's better than sitting on a couch watching TV. But it gets people out, but it also builds a whole sense of community. That's what Waterfront Park is so special. It's the most voluntarily integrated place in all of Louisville. And so between the Big Four Bridge, between the walking paths, you know, my dream eventually is this whole Louisville loop that will connect all of our communities around Louisville to Waterfront Park and the river.
You were telling me about some of the events that you have here. You've got some kind of moon row. You've got rowing to Cincinnati and back. And talk a little bit about that. Some of the things people can do here they may not be aware of.
Well, we have, it goes from simple day trips all the way up
Hello,
to
my
long
name is Brandy. I am
expeditions.
from
So we have a
Cuba.
lot
In
of
this picture,
courses
do you
on
see a
first
native
aid,
fish,
on water
from
safety, on
Kentucky?
canoeing skills, on kayaking skills, because that's part of it, is basically having a safe environment on the river. We also do, so people can rent a space here and keep their private boat if they wish to, $10 a month, so it's an inexpensive place to get a shower and bathrooms and have access to the river via the community boathouse dock. But the community boathouse dock is open to anybody, so the general public can go down and use it all the time. We also, with River City Paddle Sports, we have 4 of the 30-foot Voyager canoes that you went into today, and we do those with school groups. So we have about 3,500 school kids or community groups, neighborhood associations, come paddling, and we go up Beargrass Creek or out on the Ohio River, depending on the conditions. MSD worked with us and developed a wonderful paddling guide to the lower reaches of Beargrass Creek, which sort of highlights some of the ecological issues, but also some of the beautiful areas. In the past probably 3 years, the number of beaver have just skyrocketed in the lower reaches of Beargrass Creek. So the work that MSD is doing is really cleaning up our streams, and the biodiversity is coming back. You know, when we think about it, the Ohio River, 153 species of fish in it. And so the Ohio River is cleaner than it has been probably since the Civil War. It meets recreational standards 98% of the time during the recreation season. But the problem comes in is some of the tributaries. And so Beargrass Creek, the solution to pollution is dilution. And so when you have a small stream like Beargrass, it gets contributed pollutants. So that's the effort that MSD is working on, and the evidence is there. The number of mink, the number of beaver are really coming back to Beargrass Creek. So it's incredibly exciting.
You are a wealth of information, as I mentioned, an historian, and your passion is contagious. You said you had a paragraph in a book that you'd like to read that kind of sums things up for you. If you do that, David, I
Well,
appreciate it.
sure. This book, I'm also, in addition to being involved with the Ohio Riverway, which I don't want to miss out this one, it's the islands in the Ohio River. So the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service owns 24 islands from Pittsburgh down to Maysville, Kentucky. And there's 52 other islands, and we're working with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife to explore this whole national wildlife refuge coming down to us. Louisville has 7 islands, from 18-Mile Island, 12-Mile Island, 6-Mile Island, Towhead Island, Shippingport Island, Lewis and Clark Island, Sand Island. All of those could be part of this wildlife refuge that makes this biodiversity corridor up and down our entire 981 miles. But they also turn into a destination because U.S. Fish and Wildlife Refuges, you're allowed to visit dawn to dusk. So all of a sudden, we would have 7 destinations for exploration in our river basin here.
Oh man, this is good stuff. So you had a paragraph.
You're
I
right.
want to hear it. Yeah.
That's it. So upstream of us, about 40 miles, a man named Harlan and Anna Hubbard purchased 60 acres, and they lived there for almost 40 years without any electricity, without any running water. They grew all their own food. They called it living on the fringe of society. But they were also concert-level pianists. They were amazing artists and wrote 5 or 6 books around the river. Wendell Berry was his student. And so, Mr. Hubbard wrote a wonderful series called OYO, the Ohio River Anthology. And they picked out 25 of the best writers of the Ohio River, but they also wrote their own book. So this one is called, by Harlan Hubbard, To Glide Around a Bend That Seems Endless. No part of life is worth living over again. Only the canoe trips. My canoeing has been done on the Ohio River and its tributaries. Expert canoeists are not likely to consider the Ohio a canoe river. Their kind of river is narrow, swift, whitewater stream in the wilderness. Not knowing that there was a canoe river, I came to love the Ohio, never realizing its shortcomings and finding many virtues peculiar only to itself. To glide around a bend that seems endless, where the current gurgles around and through flooded trees, whose green branches whip back and forth in the strong flow, pulling clear when the tension grows too strong, under overhanging branches, around drift logs, and caught among the trees. At length, a new reach downstream opens to your view. The blue hills at the end of the reach, miles away, appear to block the river. But it's all about drifting on the Ohio River, taking time, slowing down a little bit, and appreciating the world around us. You know, Louisville was settled here because of the Ohio River. And most people think it was because of the commerce and because of the ability to have barges come up and down. And we were a break bulk facility, so we were the 10th largest city in the United States, in part because of the Ohio River. But it was also about the quality of life. So when you look at people across from 1880s, 1820s on, so people came from New Orleans, they came upstream by paddle wheel boat, got here because it was the obstruction, but it was so nice they ended up building all these beautiful homes up and through Glenview. And so it was a quality of life issue back then, and it still is today. You know, the city of Louisville and all of our river towns up and down on the Ohio are set good for our next 50 years. We have water. We don't have an issue like the Colorado River that's totally drying up. We don't have an issue of really overpopulation like the Hudson River. We don't have the international issues of the Great Lakes. We don't have the storms of really the Everglades. But the Midwest, the Ohio River Valley, will be the future. And let's make sure we take care of it so we can really enjoy our life on the river. It's called the Ohio River Way of Life.
Wow. David, thank you so much. And the other thing those locales don't have is your knowledge, your wealth of knowledge, Mr. Wicks. I appreciate that. David Wicks, River City Paddle Sports. Once again, not only will you have a good time on the river, you might get a bit of a history lesson from David. We talked a lot about recreation on the river. How about a little exercise? It's all available here. Visually, absolutely gorgeous, physically stimulating, and yes, indeed, it does enhance our lifestyle here in Louisville. Thank you for watching Louisville Focus, and hey, let's hit the river.